Okay, the next big area for many women is clothing. Lots and lots of, and men too, probably have more clothing than you may need. And if you're trying to figure out a simple way to figure out what to downsize, I would go back to, let's pick the stuff that is healthiest for you. Almost everything I have is a natural fiber. For me, that mostly means cotton or wool. Linen would be another natural fiber. Linen tends to get really wrinkly, and I'm way too lazy to iron, nor do I own an iron here, so I don't tend to have much linen stuff, though it is if you live somewhere much hotter, it's a very cool material as well, so you may want some more linen than I have. I have much more wool, which is generally warmer. You can often find the tag, usually on an item of clothing. This is just a t-shirt that I have inside out here. The size and brand and whatever is up here. This came from a thrift store like most of my stuff, but usually, you know, that's on the neck. If you come down the side, there will be a second tag that usually has the fiber content, and it'll say cotton, polyester, rayon, whatever the material is, and sometimes multiple names and a percentage. So I have mostly cotton t-shirts, shirts, pants. Jeans are generally cotton. I've got a wool skirt. Most of my dresses are cotton. And then in outdoor clothing, which I'm not going to go into great detail because I have an entire video on what I wear outside, an awful lot of, especially for winter and cold times, an awful lot of that is wool because it's very warm. For especially anything, the closer something is to my skin, the more I want it to be a natural product. For one, you may find that you get much less stinky when you sweat. When you've got plastic materials, like polyester and such are made out of plastic, and when you have those up against your skin, they encourage the growth of bacteria that make bad odors. And if you take off like a sport shirt or something, and you've been doing something active and sweating and it stinks, if you smell that shirt, I will almost bet the shirt smells, and there's a very good chance if you smell yourself that you don't actually smell the bacteria growing in that environment of the plastic. And so you'll probably stink, especially socks. Oh my goodness, I even quit. You know, cotton socks are not awful, but wool socks are just amazing. All of my socks are wool. They are a little more pricey to buy, but they last for virtually ever, so they actually end up being less expensive in the long run. This is the pair I was just wearing 2 seconds ago. There's quite a few good blends now. Smart Wool and Ibex and Bridgedale, and probably a bazillion others that I have not even heard of. But if you have socks that are wool, your feet will be comfortable. They will be... I find it easier to control temperature, either warm or cold, because the wool breathes naturally and lets moisture come and go through, and your feet and your shoes will not hardly ever stink. I know you can't smell this, but I've been wearing these for like 2 days, and there is no odor at all. They just smell like wool. So that is one huge benefit of doing this. And the same thing for your upper body. The closer it is to my skin, the less I want it to be, or the more I want it to be a natural fiber. So underwear is cotton. Now with a lot of these cotton things like underwear and t-shirts and some of those layers, I do not mind if there's a little bit of lycra in it because it makes it stretchy and a soft cotton instead of feeling more stiff like a jean material like this. But in general, the closer it is to my body, the more natural I want it to be. And I have a lot of outdoor layers that are wool shirts and wool jackets and stuff like that. But occasionally, especially if you live somewhere more damp and humid and maybe rainy than where I do, some of those things will soak up moisture. They'll often still keep you warm. But for an outside shell, I do have like a rain snow shell that is synthetic materials, but I only wear that when I need it to keep moisture out of things, and it's not up against my skin. If I'm putting that jacket on, I have multiple other layers, usually wool on underneath it, that are what's actually touching my skin. Now, if you don't know, like if you thrift store shop a lot and tags may be worn off or gone or missing over time, because that happens, or cut off because they were in an uncomfortable place or whatever, and so you're like, well, I have this shirt and I have No idea. Is this cotton? Is this polyester? Is this wool? I don't know. Over time, you do get to know these things as you get familiar with them, and you can often kind of feel. But if you don't know, one trick, this one, the seams are all serged, but one trick you can do is you could find, the shirt's inside out, you could find a little bit of a seam edge. See if you can see that. There is a tag on this one, but if there's not, you can find one of these little seam edges, and if you're very careful, take a scissors and snip off a tiny bit of the extra fabric that's in the seam there. Don't cut into the threads or it'll probably unravel the whole seam. And then just take a match or a little lighter or whatever and burn it. If it's cotton, wool, linen, any of those natural fibers, what will happen is you burn it, do it over a sink or something safe, don't burn your house down, but the fibers will kind of turn into like a powdery ash. If it doesn't do that, if it melts, like think if you've ever, cut a piece of cord and melted the end so it didn't unravel like a shoelace or something like that, if it melts like that, it is mostly plastic. If it turns into a soft powdery ash, then it is probably a natural fiber. So if you have no idea, you can, usually find an inside seam on almost anything, and you could take a tiny little bit off of that extra material in the seam and burn it and find out. That's a tip I'd learned years ago, I think probably from my dad, who would sometimes check clothing that way. But anyway, so if you go through your wardrobe and get rid of all of the items that are made out of synthetic materials, and if you have one that is, your absolute favorite thing to wear for parties or special occasions or whatever, keep it. But in general, I really like, and I feel better, and my skin is less irritated, and you may have heard me mention this before if you've been here for a while, but the part of the reason I got so interested in learning about this stuff is when I was an infant, I had severe eczema, however you pronounce it, all over my arms, the back of my legs, my face. I would scratch in my sleep. When I was unconscious, I would scratch in my sleep till I bled. My parents had to put mittens on me. My skin was so itchy. And my skin is now clearer and healthier than it has ever been in my entire life. And one of the things that does help with that is not wearing synthetic materials up against my skin. So it helps with the obvious external irritation that I have, which thankfully not all of you guys hopefully have, but also your skin is a gigantic organ. Your heart's an organ, your liver's an organ. Your skin is the biggest organ because it covers all of your body. And one of the fascinating things is things are absorbed into your body through your skin. When you swallow something, you eat a hamburger or a salad or whatever the case may be, it goes into your digestive system, which is almost like if you think about your body like a donut hole, it's not really in you yet. There's like this hole that goes the whole way from your mouth down to your butt, where things go through. It goes into your stomach, through your intestines, and, eventually out into a toilet. And your body is using that hole. Think about the rest of your body as like the donut, and this is this track down through here is the hole in the middle. It's taking apart things and dissolving things and digesting things and going and grabbing and saying, oh, that's a piece we can use, and that's a piece we want, and this we don't, and that goes down to the waste. That's how we get a lot of the food and stuff actually into our body. If you hear thumping and bumping, that's Burley rearranging his nap at my feet. The interesting thing about things you put on your skin is it's not filtered by your digestive tract. So a lot of those things go more directly into your body. This is why patches for different things work. Nicotine patches, whatever. Stuff is absorbed directly through your skin. So you want to be cautious with what's on your skin. And if what you have on your skin all the time is very plastic-based fabrics, again, much like with cooking in plastics and stuff, except sometimes it can go into your body even faster than if you ingest it. These things disrupt your mitochondrial function, which are the little bacteria inside your cells. They're not actually bacteria, they're mitochondria, they're their own thing. But there's like billions of them, way more than there is human cells, and they control an awful lot of things like your energy production and so on. And so we don't want to screw them all up inside our cells. And these things affect that. It affects your hormones. It can affect all kinds of things. So back to the basics. If you are downsizing and trying to figure out what to get rid of and simplify, you can again save money because you won't buy these things again. You can buy most natural fibers secondhand because these things tend to hold up well. I hardly ever buy new clothing. I almost always get everything at thrift stores, and somebody will say, oh, I like that skirt or those pants or whatever, where'd you get them? And I'm like, well, I don't really know. The tag's worn off and it came from a thrift store. So you can save money, you will be in better health, and you'll have less stuff to take care of. Just kind of continuing on that theme. So any natural material that's made from, and yes, there can be issues with, whether cotton was raised organically or not, and so on. But I think either way, and if your clothing's old enough, some of that stuff has been washed out through repeated washings. But either way, that's still going to be better than putting plastics up against your skin. And I almost guarantee you that you will have less body odor on your body, on your feet, wherever you may have a problem with that if you wear natural fibers. And then you will have gotten rid of a whole bunch of stuff in your life for most of us, because as I look around most of my friends' closets, there are a lot of plastic clothing of one kind or another in them. And so that will also simplify your life and your time. Thanks for watching, folks. If you're interested in more info on my off-grid tiny house life, check out some of my other videos here. And if you like what you're seeing, click the little picture of my house to subscribe and then hit the little bell so YouTube actually notifies you every time there's a new video available. See y'all next time.